Hi guys, I'm Fera from Guitars AI and I welcome you to this tutorial, the first one on the series on computer-aided musicology, where we are going to study music theory and analyze music and do a lot of computer-aided music stuff. So yeah, this first one is we will explore the minor pentatonic scale and see how it's built, the intervals. So if you've been following the guitar exercises and guitar practices on Instagram or in YouTube, so basically we'll do with the computer more or less what we've been studying about the minor pentatonic scale. So to get started, let's go to Guitars AI GitHub. So GitHub, Guitars AI. So you can find, just type GitHub Guitars AI, click on this link, then you go to repositories, computer-aided musicology, and you can launch the binder. It will take quite some time, depending, because it's configuring everything what you need to run on the cloud, is installing all the Python packages, is installing libraries, configuring. So it can take a while. So there we go. There is now this Jupyter notebook. So you can click on the minor pentatonic and it will open this first notebook. And so let's start. First thing what we need to do is import some packages. So we can run this first cell. And I'm using here, and I believe I'm going to use most of the time, is this Music 21 Toolkit for Computer-Aided Musicology. It's from the guys from the MIT, the Massachusetts Institute of Technology. It's a great tool. This is it's really very powerful. You can do a lot of things with this. So in GitHub there is also a link to the documentation, and very important for you to check. So here I'm just defining, I'm just importing the Music 21, and this is more or less a hack because I couldn't configure properly this Docker image and this to show the musical score. I tried with Musescore, I tried Lillypond, I could not make it work, so I had to improvise. So I'm creating here a function that it will just help me to display a music score on the screen. If you're running this locally in your machine and you have Musescore installed or Lillypond, and you configure the Music 21 environment to find the paths, the correct paths, everything should work fine. But if you're running on the cloud, I'm using this just as a improvisation, a way so I can display. Okay, enough talk. Let's start with the intervals. Yeah, this is a notebook about the minor pentatonic, and to build a minor pentatonic scale, to build any scale, you need to know the intervals that are the building blocks to build this scale. So Music 21 has this very nice tool, and it has this interval objects. So let's, for example, create an interval which is the minor third, and we'll play. We can see that there is an interval, is the minor third, and what we can do with this. In this next cell, I'm creating here a list with all the intervals of the minor pentatonic scale. So it's the minor third, the perfect fourth, the perfect fifth, and the minor seven. Yeah, and then I am going through this list. So for every interval symbol in the list of intervals, and I'm creating an interval just like we created before. So I have all these intervals. There is the minor third, perfect 4, perfect 5th, and the minor 7. It also tells us how many semitones from the tonic this interval is. So like we've done before with the pentatonic, so we are on a tonic, which is here on the 5th fret on the 6th string. This is an A. And then we go with 3 semitones, 1, 2, 3. This is the minor third. If we go 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, we reach the 4th. If we go 7 semitones, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, we reach the 5th. And if we go 10 semitones, we will reach the 7th. So it's like a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So the minor pentatonic is tonic, minor third, 4th, 5th, and 7th. So now we already are creating there, using the Music 21 Python library, the intervals of the minor pentatonic scale. Okay, another very cool thing we are doing now is to get the music note from the string number and the fret number. So if you're still not familiar on how to calculate, if you don't know which note is this one, which is the 8th fret on the 5th string, you could just like put here 8th fret, 5th string, and is an F, and F3 using the notation with the octave. So it's very handy if you want to know which note, where it is. You can use this Music 21. So what it does is there is a function called tablature fret note. You just give it the string and the fret number, and it will. Then you need to tell that it's a guitar fret board, because it can be a fretboard of a bass. And with this calls here, you're getting this note name, which is from the 5th string, 8th fret, and is the F3. Okay. So now we know how to create some intervals. We also know how to get the note name from the fret. We can also do, so given the tonic, what is the 5th of the 4th or the 7th, we can use this next cell. So let's go back here. Let's say we are on the 6th string, the 5th fret, which would be a A2. And now we want to know what is the perfect 4th of the A2. And voila. So the perfect 4 of A2 is a D3. So what we're doing, we are creating this interval perfect 4. The note is an A2, which is defined here, and now we're transposing the A2 to the perfect 4, and it gives us a D3. It's very interesting also that we can use the Music 21 library to get some information about the pitch. For example, when we transpose the A2 to the perfect 4th interval, we got this D3, and we can also have here, for example, what's the MIDI number of this D3? It's 50. What is the center frequency in hertz of the D3? 146.8 hertz. So going back, we imported our packages. We've seen how to create an interval. We created here a list of intervals with all the intervals of the minor pentatonic. We can get what is the name of the interval, how many semitones from the tonic it is. We can also apply, check which note from the fretboard. So we give it the string number and the fret number, and it returns the note name for us. We can transpose a note to its interval using this function here. We can get some information using these functions here. And now what we're going to do is we will create a function, we'll define a function that we will give it a tonic, and it will create the minor pentatonic scale for us. So we're defining here. By the way, if you're not familiar with Python, you can also go to Guitars AI GitHub, Guitars AI YouTube channel. There is an introduction to Python tutorial that you can learn a bit about functions and how to use for loops. Yeah, it gives a general overview of the basic Python. And so here we are defining a function. First thing, later on in different tutorials, I'm going to make this function more generic, so it doesn't return you just a minor pentatonic scale, but can return any scale you want. But for now, I'm defining the list of intervals that makes the pentatonic scale. So it's the tonic, minor third, perfect fourth, perfect fifth, and minor 7. This function will return a list of notes for every interval symbol in the list of intervals, which is defined here. So for every interval, it will create the interval like we created here, and it will transpose the tonic, which we give it the argument of the function, according to this interval, and it will give me back a list of notes. And how can we see these notes, this scale that we just created, the minor pentatonic of G sharp? Well, Music 21 also has this powerful thing to create music scores. So we use the string tool, and we're just doing like this. We're creating a stream, and then we are appending notes to the stream. The notes are given to us because we already called this minor pentatonic. The tonic is G sharp, and it will be returning a list of notes. And now we create the stream and we append the notes. And there is this show. Lily.png is how you call. I'm using Lillypond, which is yeah, it's a tool to work with music notation. It's already everything installed in this configuration. If you're running on the cloud, if you're running locally, you need to install it by yourself. There is the requirements you can find on the binder folder. So you have all the requirements to install it locally. But now we have here the notation from the pentatonic scale of a G sharp. And we can also listen. So if we show the stream in MIDI, it let us play. So the five notes of the pentatonic scale of G sharp. Okay, we've seen how to get the note from the fretboard. So let's create a function that we give a string and we give the fret number, and it will return us a note. So this is what I'm doing here. I'm defining a function fret to note pitch. I give a string and a fret, and it will do exactly what we did before. It will have this tablature fret note. It will say that it's from a guitar. It get the pitches. This is because I'm giving, it can also give you chords, but I just want the single note. So it's just a way to access the string, because the list goes from, I think it's from the 6th to the 1st. So this is just a way of indexing the notes what I want. So let's see. The 6th string and 5th fret, it's an A, and it's an A2. So there it goes. If you change, if you want the 5th string and the 5th fret, it will be a D3. So you can give it any string and any fret number, and it will return a note. Let's put it all together. We have this function that calculates the note from the fret, and so you give it a string and the fret number, and it will give you a note. So for example, suppose you want to string the 4th string and the 8th fret. That's a B flat. So the 4th string, we're here. And then the 8th fret, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Which is in fact is a B flat or an A sharp. So now let's do it. We've been studying the A minor pentatonic on the guitar practice and guitar exercises on Instagram and YouTube. So it's the 5th fret on the 6th string, and it goes first tonic A, minor 3rd C, perfect 4th D, 5th E, minor 7 G. So let's do it. Let's create a stream. This will create our musical score. I'm putting this rest just so we have some space here before we play the MIDI. So this is like append to the stream half rest. Then we are creating a minor pentatonic, calling the function minor pentatonic, and we're giving as the tonic, calling this other function, we're giving the 6th string and the 5th fret, this is the A2. It will call here, so it's the A minor pentatonic. I will append the notes. It's a list of notes that this function here returns. I'm appending to the score, and I'm calling this here Lily is because I'm using the Lillypond tool, and this is just as I explained before, a hack so I can display here. So there we go. Let's listen to it. MIDI. So there it is. That's our pentatonic, A minor pentatonic. That's it. So in this tutorial, we learn how to create a function that you can give any note and it will return the minor pentatonic. If you don't know the note name, you can use this fret to note function here that you give a string and you give it a fret. It will tell you which note it is. But I highly recommend that you study intervals and where the notes are on the neck, on the fretboard. If you're a beginner, there's also some tutorials on Guitars AI and I'm exploring the minor pentatonic and all its intervals and where they are, how they sound. But you can also now calculate intervals. Yeah, you can give different intervals, not only the minor pentatonic. We will see later when we reach the major pentatonic, the Greek modes, different scales, major scale, minor scales. We will generalize this function here that we can give, it returns any scale. We can also use the embedded, the built-in functions from Music 21 that they already built that give you back the scales. We will learn more about how to create musical scores, how to save a MIDI file. So that's it. I hope you liked it. We've seen here some basics. There's how to create an interval, how to create a scale, how to listen in MIDI, how to generate this musical score. And that's it. Check you later. Fera, Guitars AI, computer-aided musicology, music theory, using the computer, using your instrument. Happy days! Hi guys, I'm Fera from Guitars AI, and I welcome you to the second tutorial on computer musicology. Today we're going to study the intervals of the major pentatonic scale. So go to GitHub Guitars AI. Here you go to repositories, computer-aided musicology, and we are now on major pentatonic scale. This will open my binder. It will take some time. It's configuring a machine with everything you need to run. And I already have something here. So let's start. First thing what we're going to do, as usual, is importing the packages we are going to use. I'm using again the Music 21, very powerful computer-aided musicology package from MIT. I'm using now, as before, this is just to display the musical score. And we start by defining a function that will return a scale from a given interval. So we're defining a function that is intervals to scale. We need to give it to pass it a tonic, a list of intervals, and the number of octaves. First thing we're doing is I'm creating an empty list, and I will populate this list with the desired notes. Second thing is I'm doing this for loop because now we want more than one octave. So if we want 3 octaves, this for loop needs to go 3 times. Then I am creating a note from the tonic. We are passing a string, and I'm creating a note using the Music 21 library. So I am just transposing the tonic to, if it's the first octave, it will be perfect first. If it would be a second octave, I need to transpose it 1 octave higher. So this is what I'm doing here. For every octave, I'm getting which is now the tonic octave, so I can create the notes from the intervals according to this octave. Now we have another for loop that we go from every interval symbol in the list of intervals. We will append to our empty list the transposed tonic according to the given interval. So, for example, we will pass a list of major pentatonic intervals, which is the perfect fourth, the second, third, the perfect fifth, and the sixth. We will pass this. We will give the tonic as a C3, is the tonic, and we want 3 octaves. So let's see what happens. First, I will import my packages. Okay, now we define our function. we create a list of intervals, one for the major pentatonic and one for the minor pentatonic, just as an example. Now we are calling this function, we're giving the tonic a C3, we're passing it the list of major pentatonic intervals, and we want 3 notes. Okay, so how can we see the notes? As before, we will create a stream and we will append the notes to the stream. And then we are using Lillypond to display as a PNG file the score. So there we go. We have here 3 octaves. It's the major pentatonic of C. And that's it. Before we were using this show MIDI function, so we could listen to it. But now let's do something different. Let's save this score as a MIDI file. So Musicology 21 also has this function to save a score as a MIDI file. So what we're doing here, I'm appending first a tempo, the BPM. I want, let's say that I want 120 BPMs. I'm telling that it's an electric guitar that I want to be on MIDI channel 0 and the MIDI program 30, which is a program for the overdriven guitar in MIDI. Then I'm appending this electric guitar information, which is an instrument with MIDI channel and MIDI program. And I also want to give it a title and a composer. So in Musicology 21, you can create this thing, it's called a metadata. And in this metadata, there are many attributes. I'm using here the title and the composer. So I'm inserting to the stream a metadata, and then I'm telling that the title is the major pentatonic, and the composer is Guitars AI. So we can do this. And then, with this command, we are writing a MIDI file named major pentatonic scale. So the file is created. If we go here, if you put file, open, it will show you a folder from this machine we are running, and we can see here, major pentatonic scale.mid. You can click here and let's download. Can we download this? Download. So now I'm saving on my local computer because unfortunately I could not configure the, so I save here as music. I could not configure the remote machine to have some kind of a MIDI software. So now I am going to open in my computer a program called Musescore. Where is it? Musescore. So Musescore software is open. I will open the major pentatonic scale, and now we can listen to it. Yeah, pretty cool, right? So let me go back. One last thing we're doing today is how to find out the interval between 2 notes. We can also do this. So here we are defining 2 notes, a C3 and an E3, which is the major third. We are creating an interval and we're converting notes to interval, the C3 and the E3. And then when we and then after we want to know the F sharp, which interval it is. That's it. The E3 is the major third of C3, and the F sharp 3 is the augmented 4 of C3. So even if you want to find out using the computer intervals between 2 notes, you can use this, what we did right here. So that's it. Today we've seen the intervals of the major pentatonic scale, which is the 2nd, major third, the perfect fifth, and the major sixth. We've seen how to generalize our function before, so we can give it a tonic, a list of interval, and a number of octaves, and it will return us any scale based on the intervals that we're given. Then we displayed again the musical score, and we are saving a musical score as a MIDI file. And finally, we just check how what's the interval between two notes. So that's it on this tutorial. Check you later. Hi guys, I'm Fera from Guitars AI, and I welcome you to one more tutorial on computer-aided musicology. This time we're looking at the Mixolydian Modal pentatonic scale, its intervals, how can we build it. So, as usually, everything available on GitHub. So we start by importing the Music21 package. If you are, as usual, if you are running in the remote server I set up, we are using these two things here to display the musical score using Lillypond. It's just a hack, so if you're running on your local machine, you don't need to worry about it. But let's start with a concept of scale. So Music21 library has this inbuilt scale, and we can use it to get, for example, a major scale and a Mixolydian scale, for example. There are many more scales available. We'll go through it later on, not in this tutorial, but so let's see. I'm creating here a scale. The first one is the Mixolydian scale with the tonic on A, and the second one is the major scale, also in the tonic of A. So calling this function here, I'm creating the scale, and here I'm printing the pitches, the notes that build the scale. So we can see here that the only difference between the Mixolydian and the major scale or the Ionian mode is the seventh. So the major scale has the major 7, and the Mixolydian has the 7th, which is a minor 7. Let's put it like this. Okay, so we built the scales, and now let's see the intervals that build the Mixolydian scale. We have the tonic, the major second, the major third, a perfect 4, a perfect 5th, a major 6th, and the 7th, which is a minor 7. Okay. Here is just the same function we used in the previous tutorial. It's just that we go from intervals. If we give it an interval, this function will return us a scale. So we give it a tonic, a list of intervals, and a number of octaves, and this function will return the scale. So let's remind how we built the major pentatonic and the minor pentatonic. For the major pentatonic, we took the scale, the major scale, and we only took 5 notes from the scale. We omit the 4th and we omit the 7th, so we are taking the 1st, the 2nd, the 3rd, the 5th, and the 6th, and we are building the major pentatonic scale. For the minor pentatonic, it's a similar process, but we are not taking the major scale, we're taking the minor scale, but the intervals we are choosing, they are different. We are not taking the 2nd and the 6th, we are taking the 3rd, the tonic, the 3rd, the 4th, the 5th, and the 7th. So there are many ways how to build a pentatonic scale. Yeah, if you have this concept of building from modes or from other scales, and from 7 notes you're picking 5. So the Mixolydian pentatonic scale, which I am building here, you can build in a different way maybe, but I am using the same concept as we used on the minor pentatonic. So I'm taking the 1st, 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 7th. So if we look back on the Mixolydian scale, we are taking the 1st, then we are taking the 3rd, the 4th, the 5th, and the 7th. So it's interesting to notice that if we would take the same intervals as we took to build the major pentatonic scale, from the Mixolydian mode, we will end up again with a major pentatonic scale, because the only difference between the Mixolydian and the major scale is in the 7th, and we are not taking any 7th for the major pentatonic scale. So they will be the same. Okay, so considering that the intervals are like this, and if we analyze the notes on the scale, we have here is a major third and the minor 7. So here we have a major third and the minor 7. The contrast between this scale and the minor pentatonic scale, it's the third. Before we were taking a minor third, and now we are taking a major third. And what I like about this is because from the major third and the perfect fourth, if we look here, from the major third and the perfect fourth, we have only a semitone. And it gives, in a pentatonic scale, it gives a very nice feeling. If you are following some videos of my guitar practice, guitar exercises in Instagram, I will show also on the neck of a guitar the sound of the intervals. But here we can already see that in the pentatonic there will also be this semitone from the third, the major third, to the perfect fourth. So with that in mind, we know the intervals we're taking, because we're taking the first, the third, the fourth, the fifth, and the seventh. How do we know if it's a major, a perfect, or a minor? We have here the scale, the Mixolydian scale, and we are calculating using these functions the intervals from the tonic, so we know it's a minor second, a major second, a major third, perfect fourth, perfect fifth, major 6, and minor 7. So if we are taking the first, third, fourth, fifth, and 7, we just use the same minor and major and perfect as we've seen there. So okay, with this, we are creating here, we are calling the intervals to scale, so we have the list of intervals that makes this Mixolydian pentatonic, and we have this Mixolydian pentatonic scale. How can we visualize that? We can visualize it the same way like we did before. We can create a stream. I'm inserting here just some extra data. So I think Musescore would, and Music 21 would make it, because we are quite low on an A2, it will make this clef of Fa instead of a clef of Sol. So I am just making sure that I want to stay on the treble clef. So I'm including this. I'm also including the metadata because I want to display a nice title and the composer. And then, yeah, just appending the notes. And we can show I'm on my local machine, and this there's a software called Musescore, which I installed and I configured to work with Music 21. and it displayed this nice title and Guitars AI composer. If you are running remotely, you need to use the Lillypond, because I didn't manage to configure Musescore on the remote machine on the cloud. And Lillypond, I didn't manage also to display a title and the composer. Also, when you export to MIDI file, like we did in the previous tutorial, I didn't manage how to display this, even though it's included on the MIDI file. I'm not sure if it's a different MIDI. I'm not sure what's happening with the Music 21 library, but I could not make it display on Musescore. Okay, and as before, we can also use this show MIDI and we can hear. So let's go back. I introduced today this concept of a scale on the Music 21 library. So we can create, you can go into the documentation and see all the scales available. And you can do different things with scales. They have different methods, different attributes. We will use some of them later on. But what I did, I created a scale, a Mixolydian scale, a major scale. I'm printing the pitches, the notes that build the scale. From these notes, from these pitches, I am calculating the intervals related to the tonic. I'm comparing the major scale, which is the Ionian mode, with the Mixolydian mode. Then I'm choosing 5 notes from the Mixolydian scale to build up a pentatonic scale. So I'm creating a list of intervals for a Mixolydian pentatonic. I'm choosing the tonic, the third, the fourth, the fifth, and the seventh. What happens to be, because I'm taking from the Mixolydian, it's a major third and a minor 7, the natural 7. So I'm calling this function intervals to scale, because I'm passing a list of intervals, I'm passing a tonic, I'm passing a number of octaves I want to construct. Then I'm visualizing the scale, and you can listen to it. So with this concept, you can do many things. You can take any Greek mode you want. You can choose 5 notes. You can build a pentatonic from this Greek mode. You can use different. You can choose 5 notes. You can take the second and the sixth, or you can take the fourth and the 7, or you can do different crazy combinations. And with this function that we defined earlier, you can give any kind of interval list, and it will return a scale. So that's it, guys. See you next time, and I check you later. Computer-aided musicology using Python, Guitars AI. Hi guys, I'm Fera from Guitars AI, and I welcome you to this tutorial where we will explore the Mixolydian mode. So you can go to GitHub Guitars AI, then go to the repositories, computer-aided musicology, and you can launch the Mixolydian mode Python notebook, Jupyter notebook. So here we are. As usually, we start by importing the packages, and this time I'm using these collections and deck because it offers an inbuilt function to rotate a list, and we are going to use this time. So as before, we start by defining a major scale. So I'm defining here using Music 21 a major scale of C. So the major and the Ionian, they are the same. And here are the notes that builds up the major scale. Now, as we did before, I'm using this this part here to calculate the intervals that builds up the scale. So we're talking about the major second, major third, perfect fourth, perfect fifth, major 6, major 7. So these are the notes of the major scale. And now we also want to know the semitones
between the intervals. So we have 2 semitones between the first and the second, 2 semitones between the second and the major third, and then we have 1 semitone, so half a tone between the third and the fourth. Then we have 2 semitones between the fourth and the fifth, 2 between the fifth and the sixth, 2 between the sixth and the seventh, and half tone or 1 semitone between the seventh and the octave. So what we're going to do, let's make an experiment. We will use just the notes of the C major scale, but we will shift the tonic starting to the 5th degree. So the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this will be the tonic, and then we will continue tonic second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, and so on. So we can see that if we just rotate, so that all the notes rotate to the left, so the G would be a tonic. These notes here, they will appear on the other side, but we need to transpose it 1 octave higher. So this, I'm creating here a function that will do exactly this. We will pass it the list of notes and the desired degree to which we want the tonic, and we will first, all the notes before the interval, we will transpose it to a higher octave because they will rotate and appear on the end of the list, and they need to be an octave higher. And we will simply convert the list to a DAC, and then we can apply this rotate function, so it simply rotates to the number we want. So this is what I'm doing here. When I calling this shift scale, which is I'm calling this function shift notes, the list of notes is the major scale that we have here, and I want that the tonic now would be on the 5th degree, so it will be the G. Okay, so now my new scale has these intervals here, and we can see that now the 7th is a minor 7th and not a major 7 like we had in the major scale. And this is exactly what will define our Mixolydian. We will see later. We also calculate the semitones between the intervals, and we see that now we have 2 semitones between the 7th and the octave, but just half a semitone between the 6th and the minor 7. So if we compare the Mixolydian scale, building directly from the Music 21 library, and we construct the Mixolydian of a G, we get these notes here, which we can see that all these notes, they lie exactly on the major C, and we have the same intervals that we calculated when we just shifted our major scale to the 5th degree. So we can see that indeed it is, we can build the Mixolydian by shifting the tonic to the 5th degree of the major scale, and we will end up with the Mixolydian mode. And we can do this with all the modes, and we just need to shift to different intervals, and we will end up with different modes. This example was just what we did. We started with the major scale, we shifted the tonic to the 5th degree, so then we recalculate the intervals based on the tonic on the 5th degree, and we compare our new scale to the Mixolydian of a G. And indeed we observe that they are the same scale. So this is a way how we can build and we can construct a Mixolydian from a major scale. So that's it. Check you later.